So, at the request of one of our viewers, today we are going to be talking about some graphic novels that we think you should be reading.
So as comic fans, we read comics all of the time that may not necessarily have anything to do with what we're talking about in the show. So to rectify that, and at the request of someone wanting to, get into comics and know what graphic novels they should read, we decided we're going to start this new segment where we talk about stuff we've read recently.
Yeah, we will.
What do you want to talk about first?
So I will go first.
Okay.
And the two books that I have read, Dan has not, and the two books Dan has read, I haven't. So
there might be some
it's
questions.
so interesting.
I might ask some questions that you might want.
Anyway, so the first book I'm going to talk about is Lobo, Portrait of a Bastich. This is the trade paperback written by Keith Griffin, Alan Grant, and art by Simon Bisley. Lobo, for those who don't know.
I don't know.
He is a intergalactic bounty hunter. He was born on a very peaceful planet. He was the odd one out who doesn't like all the peacefulness. He loves anarchy. He loves violence, and he basically, as a sign of how just how much havoc he can wreak, he kills his entire race. So he is the last Bastich, because that's what his race is called. So he is the only living Bastich, or is he? As in this book, he finds out he is not. Although I won't.
So is he a villain, or
he's always kind of towed the line. Like he's shown
like
up
a Punisher type figure?
No, more like a Sinestro type figure. So in his own books, he is the kind of hero, but he is an anti-hero. And then in other books, he's the villain. Because if you pay him to do a job, he will do the job. And, people pay him to take out Green Lantern and Superman. And now, this book even is amazing. I read this in about an hour the first time I got it, and then straight away read it again, because I just absolutely love this book. It is so funny, so violent, and the artwork is absolutely stunning. That's a very odd page that I've just flicked on to. You guys don't get to see though. Yeah, it's two different stories. It's Lobo's Portrait of a Bastich and Lobo's Back in the second part. They're two 4-part books, so I think it's 8 books in total, this. It's a must-read. It's got, if you're a British comic book reader and you're used to the 2000 ADs, this is a great kind of transition into the DC universe. You get quite a few of the intergalactic, like the Legion of Superheroes appear in this. It's just absolutely fantastic, and Simon Bisley's art I cannot get enough of. I will be picking up Batman Judge Dredd soon, the kind of crossovers, because he does a lot of the artwork for that, and all of these writers and artists started off in 2000 AD, and it really shows in this book.
It looks fairly old. When did it?
It is. This book, to my knowledge, came out in 1990. Right. So it's of that kind of 80s, 90s aesthetic visually. Lots of bright colours, very unusual looking, disproportionate, but in a stylized way. It is absolutely fantastic. Must read.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is one of 2 books that I picked up when I went to a secondhand comic book, kind of people going and trade their old things, and it's called Superman Kryptonite. That's the title of the story, and it's by Darwin Cook and Tim Sale. Darwin Cook does not draw this book.
He does not.
I found out about 10 minutes ago. And that's the basic reason why I bought it, because I looked at the art and I was like, oh, yeah, Darwin Cook artwork. It's like, because when I think of Darwin Cook art, I think it's cartoony.
Bright, colourful.
Bright colours.
Simplistic.
Simple designs.
But it's actually drawn by Tim Sale, who does The Long Halloween.
That is true. But what we noticed is... the next, sorry to spoiler, but the next book Dale...
bringing it up already.
The next book that Dale is going to talk about, The New Frontier, Dave Stewart colours them both.
He does, and that's where the confusion came in.
Yeah, you can really tell. It's kind of a good eye-opener as to how important a colorist is. Anyway, this story is about one of the rocks of Kryptonite that came to Earth with Superman. And it's a sentient creature, and it has kind of gone through looking, and it's a good guy, and he's gone through kind of looking to meet up with Superman, and this book documents Superman's first encounter with Kryptonite. Not chronologically, but in terms of, you know, the
it's self-contained story.
Right, exactly. And the whole book deals with, I mean, we're talking about how Superman doesn't, he doesn't come face to face with death that often. There's no fear in him that he will die. And in this book, that's something that Darwin Cook as a writer tackles. He puts him in horrendous situations. There's one point where he's in a volcano and he's like, well, okay, I know this isn't hurting my skin, but what if I inhale it? And he does, he inhales kind of load of lava, and it's quite, but this is
quite what?
Yeah. And this is a quite,
just wanted to check.
This is, you know, he's just started being Superman. It's a young, fresh Superman.
Yeah.
And, you know, I do have to say, Tim Sale's artwork, along with the colouring, is just so beautiful. And it's the reason I picked it up. And, you know, the really simple designs, as we said on Monday, I'm a big sucker for the cartoonish style. And the layout, very simple. It's a very easy book to read. I read it on the train to work this morning. I read the whole thing.
Fantastic.
I missed my stop.
Smooth. It's happened to all of us.
So it must be good.
Brilliant. Well, seeing as how you spoil it, I'll just go straight on to it then. Yeah, my book is The New Frontier, written by Darwin Cook, drawn by Darwin Cook, and coloured by Dave Stewart. This came out not too long ago. I think it's like 2006, I want to say. I'm not entirely sure, actually. But it follows the kind of the early days of all the members of the Justice League, and then other members, like, of all the different things, like Suicide Squad and those type of army comic books, because Darwin's Cook idea was, why do the superhero books have to be separate from the horror books? And why do the horror books have to be separate from the army books? Can't we put them all into one? Which he does, and to brilliant effect. You get these really great stories with these characters. It's all set in the 50s, so you get that style which pops from Darwin Cook.
Batman looks great.
Batman looks brilliant, and all the costumes are based on the original designs, and they're all, you can tell they're cloth instead of like armor like they are today, which is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I can't say enough good things about this. It comes in 2 volumes. This one focuses more on the army and horror books, whereas volume 2 focuses more on the Justice League side of things, and the artwork gets better and better and better as the books go on. There's a brilliant panel in the 2nd volume where Superman's fighting a giant robot in Japan, and you get all the neon colours and his red and blue, and it looks fantastic. So that is, it's a must read.
I've been wanting to read that for a while.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend getting the Absolute Edition, which is like twice the size.
I might very well do that. We can't have a conversation with comic book people without them saying, oh yeah, and why The Last Man?
Yeah.
And neither of us have read it.
No.
Well,
and
neither of us
people say to us, why? Why haven't you read it?
That's not what they say.
No. I wish they did.
This book, the premise of this book is not, as I thought, there's just everyone dies and there's one man left, but all the men die and there's one man left. Women are still there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, and he has a monkey.
And he has a monkey. And that is basically the premise. One day, all the men die, and you don't know why. And
that rhymed. You're a poet, and you didn't even know it.
Well, yeah. And Y is also like the Y chromosome.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Ba-bam!
Okay, let me give a review of this book. If you buy this book, you will burn through it. You will absolutely burn through it, because it is a very coherent, very elegantly and simply structured story. This book does not test the medium of comics. This book does not, it's not a game changer. It doesn't test boundaries. It doesn't expand on anything that's come before. It's a very simple and elegantly told story. But it is a very well told story. Like, I think Brian K. Vaughan was the writer on Lost.
Yeah, to my knowledge.
That might not be true, but anyway, it makes sense that he would be, because literally, like, it's just storytelling 101 without anything in between. It's just engaging, exciting, simple panel layouts. The art is not obtrusive, but it's not, at the same time, it's not really standout-ish. It's not like, oh my God, like we're talking about with the Darwin Cook and Tim Sale books. The art is just absolutely fine with a hugely engaging story. You're always on the edge of the seat. You always want to know what happens next, and the characters are fantastic, and it's funny. So I can completely understand why the hype surrounding this book. Brian K. Vaughan also wrote Saga, which we reviewed.
Yep, love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been meaning to pick this up. I just haven't found the time, but I think I definitely will now.
Yeah, I mean, it basically just, it does a really good job of imagining what if. Like, what if this happened? And it does a good job with Parliament, what would happen there, and how, you know, what different factions, who would believe what? Would there be a group of people that believe that it was divine will? Of course there would. How does that play out? And it's just a great what if story with very likable characters and a hugely engaging plot.
Brilliant. Well, so that wraps up our books for this week. Hopefully you've enjoyed this segment, and we will see you soon.
Yeah.